Tonight, the next point in Amir al-Mu'mineen's khutbah, because last night was a bit of a task, so tonight's a bit easier. It says, وَحَاجَتُهُمْ خَفِيفَةٌ. That when it comes to this point, the Imam says that their needs are scanty, or their needs are little. Now when we look at the righteous, and Allah Azza wa Jal saying that the righteous and the pious people, that their needs are little. Why is it that their needs will be little? Why is it that suffices them only a few things? You remember last night, I mentioned a story that was supposed to link into this night. I mentioned that when there was a fire in the village, Salman al-Farsi, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayh, during this fire, as all the buildings were being burnt, he grabbed his sword and he grabbed the Quran. He grabbed two things and walked out. And he said, this is how those that have little, that don't have too much, escape. When I don't have too much, I'm not burdened. If you take a look when there's a bushfire, people start to account, what should I take out of my house and what should I not? The first thing they go for are photos. That was the old days. Now we've got the digital age. They'll probably grab a few USBs if they don't have them in a Dropbox or an iCloud or something that's stuck somewhere up in the cyber world. But now they still have so many things that they need to carry. But the muttaqi, the righteous person, is content with so little. He's content. This does not mean that the righteous person is poor. This does not necessarily mean that if someone has a beautiful house, a nice car, that they're not righteous. But their needs are so little. This is what it says. وَحَاجَاتُهُمْ خَفِيفَةٌ. Their needs are little. Now, why should I be content, firstly? And what do I gain from this? If I have contentment, if I am happy with whatever little God has given me, how do I gain from this? Have you ever seen someone that has so little and that is happy? Generally, they are people with problems in this world. They turn around and say, so-and-so's got a better life than me. Why was he born with money and why wasn't I? Why was he born in this position? Why weren't I? Rarely do you see someone that has little and is happy. But I gain. This is when Allah Azza wa Jalla is speaking about the righteous people. He's not speaking about the most miserable people on earth. He's speaking about the happiest people on earth. He's speaking about the most joyous people on earth. And He gives you reasons in this world and for the next world. Islam is not only pertaining to the hereafter. When people think Islam, they think, Islam, that religion where you suffer in this world and you go to paradise. Islam isn't that religion. Islam is that religion where you gain in this world and you gain in the next world. Of the things that contentment gives you in this world. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. He says, فَلَنُحْيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً. If you look at this verse, that whoever does good, whoever does righteous, be it a male or be it a female, whoever's children are outside having their discussion, the whole idea of the English discussions is for the kids, is for the youth, because people always have a complaint that their kids don't understand Arabic. The whole purpose of having these discussions are for the youth. And this is why centers make this. So please don't let your kids dawdle outside. And the other reason for that is they get used to being outside. You know those kids that hang out outside during lectures? They're the ones, as they grow up, as they get older, are usually the ones that don't like coming to the centers. Because they have automatically began a disassociation with the center. And the onus is not on them, their children. The onus is on their elders. They're not the boss, you are. Don't sit and listen to what your child wants. You tell the child what to do. The reason I'm saying this is because some people sit and negotiate with their children. Get inside. That's all you need to say to a child. I don't say, Baba, well, you know what, it's warmer in there. Who are you talking to? It's a child. The child is not there to negotiate. Child just wants to do what he wants. You don't sit there and talk to him when it comes to this. And the reason for this and why I'm dwelling on this point is because this always happens. Not in this center, in every center. The children outside, every center has a group of children that run around and don't pay attention to the lessons. Being seated here is of utmost importance. Now this verse in the Quran, where Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَلَنُحْيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبًا, we will give them a happy life. This is with regard, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, this is with regard to qana'ah, being content. That those that do good of male and female, and they are believers, they will be given contentment, qana'ah. Why? Because they will have a happy life. This being said by the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, opens a doorway for you to let you know the key to a happy life is what? Qana'ah. The key to having a happy life is being content. A muttaqi is always content with whatever. Others are busy chasing what they don't need. They look for what they don't need. When I say what they don't need, why is it people think that, hold on, what do you mean I don't need this? I do need this. Let's take a look at the animal kingdom. A lion consumes between 25 to 36 kilos in every meal that they have, because they don't have a meal every day. They don't have a 3-course meal like you do. They go for the hunt. Some days they go with, some days they go without. Between 25 to 36 kilos of meat will satiate a lion. That means this male lion, the king of the beasts, is satiated. They say so much so that if a duck, this is an example they use, was to walk past the lion's nose, unless that duck was being irritating, the lion would not do anything. They don't need to eat. When they've eaten, they have no interest. An animal that is satiated has no interest. And that's why whenever they tell you, for example, a leopard or a tiger turns man killer when they are hungry. Otherwise, an animal just wants to keep away from you. The only time an animal will turn on you is when there is a necessity. As for a human is different. A human can never, ever, ever be satiated. A human can never be satisfied. A human can never reach this point. The only time a human being reaches the point of feeling satiated is when they have qana'ah, when they are content. Take a look at the people that collect and gather money. These people that hoard money. You know, there's a lot of them. Where are you? I'm going to work. Why are you going to work? Oh, brother, you know how tough life is? And so, these situations, I'll tell you, work to live is good. If I work so that I can live, this is a good thing. But there's some people, they live to work. They have enough money for the next 3 generations, but they cry poor every time you see them. You want to give them charity. Honestly, this is what you feel when you're around them. They have so much. Yet when they talk to you, you think, oh my God, this guy is starving, and then he coughs up a diamond. This is what happens when you're around them. They make it out that they don't have a thing. Always stressed, always worried, always preoccupied with what? Accumulating wealth. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he speaks about these people, he says, I am amazed at these people that gather this wealth. They run towards the poverty that they are fleeing from. They gather wealth so they don't become impoverished. But they live like what? They live in such a manner, you say this person is impecunious, this person does not have a cent to their name. You know, they live in that manner where they feel they are so poor. And you weep over them. They live a stressful life. They live a very stressful life. As the person that has qana'ah is always happy. I mentioned 2 nights ago in the other center some good point, and I thought about this point once when I said, what is the benefit of not having? I said, during a recession or a global financial crisis, I remember someone says, I lost $2 million, another person says, I lost, and you think, mad, this is the only time I've lost nothing. This is one of the benefits. You don't lose anything. Everyone around you is worrying about how much they've lost. If you're someone that has little, you never worry because you don't lose anything. Why? Because your money is safe. Your money is with God. Your rizq is with Allah Azza wa Jal. Your God doesn't say, for example, sorry mate, you know, bank's closed, there's no more sustenance. Work it out for yourself. Allah Azza wa Jal, the one that gives the sustenance to a child that's in the womb, the one that gives the sustenance to animals in the depths of the sea, the one that gives the sustenance to animals beneath the earth, the one that gives the sustenance and the subsistence, the livelihood to every living thing. God forbid that He will ever cut you out. God forbid that He will ever prevent you from having. This is why you should have qana'ah. This is why I need to have contentment. Because everything is in His hand. In another narration, it says, Man qana'a lam yakhtam. You know, al-gham, being distressed or being depressed. Whoever has qana'a, it says they will not get depressed. Why? Because they're content whether they have a lot of money and they lose it, they always have contentment. Or whether someone next to them has a lot of money, they're content with what they have, so they feel richer. They could be driving their little starlet and next to them rocks up a Ferrari and they feel happier than the guy driving the Ferrari because they're content. They feel happy with what they have. They feel this satisfaction with everything that they have because this is all they need. You drive on a road here, on the Princess Highway for example, the speed is 60. Doesn't matter what car you've got, the speed is 60. There's no, like I mentioned a couple of nights ago, there's no road that's made out of gold or paved with gold for these specific cars. You share the same road, you share this, you breathe the same air, and you live a similar life. This example, or several examples that we can bring to prove this, are the suicides that are committed by celebrities. Whenever you hear of a celebrity committing suicide, you should think about this. You say, this person has it all. Why would they commit suicide? People that watch the movie The Dark Knight, everyone would hear about the man that was playing the Joker, Heath Ledger, an Australian actor, age of 28, 29. This guy's booming. His face is everywhere. This person's going to be the next big thing in Hollywood. And then suddenly dead. People think, why? Why would he die? They say he had a drug addiction and he overdosed on the drugs. A drug addiction? Why is that? Why would he have a drug addiction? He has a drug addiction because he's not content. They feel this feeling of depression. They feel that moment when everything's gone, when all the crowds are gone, they feel that moment of loss. That when all the crowds go home and they have to return back to their life of avoiding paparazzi and trying to live a normal life, they feel the emptiness. And that's why you find a lot of them resort to what? People that use drugs. You know, people that turn towards drugs are weaklings. Why? Because they want to escape reality. People that drink alcohol are weaklings because they want to escape reality. They want to escape what is taking place around them, this feeling of emptiness. Only if they knew, they had the qana'ah, they were content with what they have, it would fill everything. They'd feel happy regardless of what there was around them. The other thing with contentment is you live an easier life. Why do you live an easier life? Because you require less. You don't sit there and say, listen, we need to take Fifi to get her flu vaccination, their pet kitten or something. We don't need to worry about, taking, young Arthur to croquet lessons or God knows what. All these things that they come up with. The person that is content lives a life that is so easy. Little needs, not much. And this is why these people with ease, like Salman, were able to escape the fire. There are so many things we buy that we don't need. Just consumerism. You know, sometimes you look at the catalogue. Next time you look at a catalogue and you see items for sale, I want you to look at every item that you plan on buying, look at each item and think to yourself, when will I use this next? You know, sometimes you look and you go, wow, that's a nice tent, for example. When's the next time you're going to camp? Think about it. The tent looks good and it's half price. Think I'm going to buy it. And then years later you see it in the garage, it's festering. How many people, honestly, right now, have a spa bath in their house that they use at home? Honestly. How many people have a spa bath that they use? I'm not shocked. This is the case. How many things do we have at home that we don't use? That we're never going to use? People buying extra things that they don't need. Extra cars, extra items. So they live a difficult life. You go, man, I've got so many bills. I remember I was talking to a guy and he earns about $1,500 a day. Makes good money. And I asked him, have you been to the Hajj yet? He said, no. I said, why? He said, I have so many bills. I said, brother, if I made that 1,500 in a week, that'd be magnificent. In a day. In a day, he's never been to the Hajj. He said, I have so many bills. And he's paying for things like you go to their house, they pay for things like portraits that they don't need. Things that they absolutely don't need. They don't require. I'm not saying you can't have these. I'm not saying that it's wrong to. It's nice to have nice paintings, nice to have these things. But to have that easy life where you worry less, you stress less. Not sit there and want to have the best of everything every time. The other thing contentment gives you is purity and it gives you modesty. In a narration, it says, من قنعت نفسه أعانته على النزاهة والعفاف. That whoever makes themselves content, it will help them with what? It will help them with purifying and purity, and it would help them with modesty. Why? How does it help you? Having qana'ah, how does it help you with this? How would it help me with purity? Okay, it helps with having a happy life, an easy life. How does it help when it comes to purity and modesty? Look at all the deranged things people do in their life. You Google someone like David Carradine and look how he died. They found him suspended with certain parts of his anatomy hanging from the ceiling because he was trying to get some intimate gratification. I'm trying to lean away so the children don't take heed to what I'm saying, that no one's felt before. And you see all this deviancy that starts to generate Because people aren't content. People start thinking, I need to put Botox in my lips. People start thinking, I need to deform my body in a way I need to fit in. You know, I've seen this guy on Google. I was reading about this guy that went and got it. This was a couple of years ago. He went and got a facelift to look like Justin Bieber. It's one of the funniest things I've seen, because he just looked horrendous. But for him, that was the deviancy you move towards. He didn't realize there are a lot of people that look like Justin Bieber, or even more good-looking Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is an entertainer. He's a performer, and that's what makes people desire him. This is what makes people desire these people. These people, if they walk through the street initially, they're not going to get the same heads turning as they do once they become famous. So the purity from qana'ah, being content with what you have, keeps you away from being a deviant, keeps you away from trying to look different. These people that want to be individuals. You know, God knows, I know a lot of people take offense to what I say, but I don't really care. You know, when it comes to tattoos and wherever they want to put a tattoo, and when it comes to piercings, God knows what they'll pierce next. They don't know where to put piercings anymore. They've lost the concept, and they're moving in a reverse direction. Wallahi, and I've mentioned this before, and I mention it again and again. There was a time where only punks got piercings. People that were degenerates. And there was a time when they got the weird and wacky hairdos. There was a time where only sailors and bikies had tattoos. These were the times. And they were looked as different. The Navy was always looked at to be batting on the other team, if everyone understands what I mean. And they were the ones that used to get their tattoos. And the bikies were the degenerates of society. They were the ones getting the tattoos. Like I said, I'm not here to make friends. So if you got upset by my remarks, tough luck. We are moving in a reverse direction. We are retrogressing in society. When only if we knew the ease of being content with what we have, and being happy and appreciative of what as God has given us. And this is the next point with contentment. It gives you gratitude. If you're content, you're grateful. One of my favorite celebrations in the year that the West has brought forward. I don't celebrate any of the Western celebrations because, like I said, that I believe that they're generated for consumerism. So people can go to the shops and purchase things. So I want to buy a gift, I want to buy it when I want to. I don't believe in buying your mother a gift once a year. You should buy your mother a gift every time you see her. I don't believe it should be limited to one day. I don't believe someone should buy their wife a gift only on Valentine's Day. They should buy her a gift every time they enter the house. This is mustahab. A man should always enter the house with something in their hand for their wife. This does not mean you become subservient to your wife. This means that you are a generous person. Now, if you take a look at these, I don't have to suffer like you because my wife's not upstairs, so I can say what I want. So anyway, Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays that they have. This is a day that they made at the end of the harvest. You know, when at the end of the year, if you look at the end of the summer, and as the spring begins, when they finish doing all the work for that year with the harvest, just before the winter, they would sit down and make a dinner, and they would call it Thanksgiving. A point where they would sit. It's in America, it's on the 4th Thursday of November. They would sit and they make a turkey and they'd sit and ask God, or they give God thanks for giving them what they have. Contentment with what they used to have, and they would show gratitude. Not these people that say, oh God, you know, why does he have a better life than me? Why does this person have more than I do? Having qana'ah gives you gratitude. And having gratitude only gives لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. Allah Azza wa Jal says, if you are grateful, I will increase what you have. I will give you more. To have qana'ah gives you gratitude, and Allah will increase what you have. Allah Azza wa Jal, I don't need to go into any specific points, but if you look throughout the Quran, you will find many examples of ingrates. Actually, I should give one because I'm going to round it up with this point. One really good example of ingratitude is the example of who? There's actually two really good ones that came to my head. There's a lot of examples. But one really good example is the people of the garden. Ashabul Jannah that Allah mentions in the Quran. Ashabul Jannah, remember when you hear the word Jannah, it means garden. So that's why when you say Adam was a Jannah, he was in a garden. Jannatul Firdaus on the Day of Judgment is a garden. Garden could be of any size, any magnitude. Now this Jannah, these people had basatin, they had orchards. And they had, when I say orchards, you're not talking about small place. They had a huge amount of crops and fruits and vegetables and all sorts of things. And their father was immensely wealthy. But of his wealth, he would give to the poor. He would sell everything, but he would give to the poor for free. That was his sadaqah. And he would give to who? The passers-by. You know, those that were traveling, Ibn Sabil, he would give them for free. When the father died, the three sons got together and said, listen, our father, two of them said, our father wasn't a good businessman. What do you mean he wasn't a good businessman? Not a good businessman. You got to sell everybody. Make every single, see a lot of people, when they sit there and they have a business and they want to make the most money, they lose the concept of gratefulness. They lose the concept of gratitude. Wallah, I was once, just a point, I was once in one of the corner shops and I saw the guy that sells, he's putting in the yogurt, the Grandpa's yogurt. Grandpa's yogurt is owned by a Christian Lebanese person, not a Muslim. And I was buying a few items, extra items, we were getting them for the Husseiniyyah. And he said, what are these for? I said, we have events. And then he said, any event you have, at the time, he said, any event you have, come and I will give you like 10 kilos or whatever you want of the yogurt. He's a Christian. But he knows. What does he know? He knows a business is not prosperous if you don't give. Things don't prosper because Allah Azza wa Jal teaches us this tradition of giving. These two brothers said, we're not giving anyone anymore. What happens? We will not give a single person and we will make more money. All about the dollars. All money. We have more money, so then they decided this. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, they woke up in the morning and everything was dead. This is a punishment from God. Now, here it says, awsatuhum, or the middle one, does not mean the middle-aged one. It means the fairest one of the three. The one that had the balanced mind initially had told them, don't cut off the people. Keep dealing with the business like our father did. They ignored him, and the next day, what happened? It was all destroyed. Now he said to them, the fair-minded one, only if you were grateful, being content with what you have, you would have been grateful, then what would happen? Everything would have worked out. So then they change their mind and decide that the next crop we'll make will give. Allah Azza wa Jal allows their crop to even increase even more. But then God says something that brings a shiver down your spine. He says, كَذَلِكَ الْعَذَابُ وَلَعَذَابُ الْآخِرَةِ أَكْبَرُ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. That this is a punishment. But the punishment in the hereafter is greater. Why is it greater? Because it's eternal. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. The adherents or the people of the fire of hell are there eternally, those that are ungrateful. As for those that are to be punished, that is another story. How long their punishment is? Some of the people will be in the fire of hell according to the commander of the faithful, of his followers, people that claim to be the followers, up to 300,000 years. This is the month for you to ask Allah to save your neck from the fire of hell. This isn't a joke. إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلٌ فَصْلٌ وَمَا هُوَ بِالْهَزْلِ. This is for real. This isn't a joke. This is something that is certainty. In this month, your duty is to ask Allah to save you from the fire of hell, to save you from this great chastisement, to place you with those you love and you wish to be like Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. But my dear brothers and sisters, it does not come by just saying this, it comes by action. You owe people money, pay that money. You have problems between people, you settle this problem. Don't think it's a joke. A lot of people have in their mind that I will get away with what I've done. Why shafa'at Ahl al-Bayt? Don't think like that. Because there is jurisdiction here. You owe someone something, Allah Azza wa Jal says, لا يجوزني ظلم ظالم. That no one will pass me if they've oppressed anyone. This is another discussion when it comes to oppression. We ask Allah to forgive us all and to guide us on the righteous path. بحق الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.